Okay, folks, shut off the Netflix, get the kids out of the pool, okay? Hi, everyone. It's time for another special episode of Inside Curling. This is Daily Draw, presented by Coolbet for Friday, February 11th. Each and every day we come on during the games in Beijing to give you everything curling. And today is no exception. Of course, we got another 10 days or so of this. Thank you to Coolbet, a proud sponsor of curling and, frankly, all things ice-related. The logo is a bear, after all. If you love sports, make sure you join the thousands of people already enjoying life inside the Coolbet community. We are once again joined by our two pundits, the ambassadors, the Hall of Famers, and they've been had their clocks absolutely turned upside down. I'll explain to you what's going on, okay? Because Kevin's up. He doesn't know which end is up. Warren's been going to sleep for about 6 minutes. I talked to Warren, Kevin, last night about 11 o'clock, okay, p.m., and when he got on the phone, he said, "Good morning, Jim." I said, "What?" And Kev comes on this morning and says, "Good evening, everybody." I'm going, what the heck? What's going on? How are you doing, Kevin?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny. It's the truth. I came on saying good evening. I didn't realize, well, I have no idea what time it is, but it's going really well. It's just funny when you call the games out of Beijing, your clock is exactly backwards.
Right.
So for me, it is evening right now and not morning. And anyway, it's great fun. The games are terrific.
Yeah, they really are. And Warren, I always see you when you come on with the triple extra large tea. Right, so that's what he's using to stay awake.
Hey, I got to show you. You got to see
Let's
the cup
it.
today.
Yes,
See this?
Flash it up there. Do you
Hey.
see that? Wow, curling a Canadian thing. That's cool. Yeah, we're gonna have to get into your museum, Warren. You've got the ultimate curling man cave, and you're gonna have to show us all that. We're doing this by video, fellas. I put a shirt on, Kev. I put it like with a collar, okay? I've been wearing T-shirts for 2 years now since COVID hit. So let's get down to it. Day 3 of the curling. Of course, we're into the men's and women's draws now. Kev, give us your wrap-up. There were 3 draws. You're going to give us the first 2 draws. What happened last night?
Well, you know what? It's sort of, I guess the theme was big ends, late in games is kind of what happened. So let's start with sheet A on the men's draw. Switzerland, ROC. This was a really good game. It could have went either way until the 8th, and this is the theme of the day. Swiss got 3 in the 8th to go up 6-3 and held on with that score. So that was a big win for Switzerland. Great Britain, USA, we called that game. They shared a couple of deuces in 2 and 3, but then a big end in the 4th for USA. Actually, it could have been 4 or 5 quite easily, but ended up only being 3. In the 5th, Grant Hardy made a beauty in-turn draw to set up for a deuce to get back in the game, down 1 at that point. But then a really bad, the next end, that was in 6, coming home. Chris Plyes missed 1.5, but one real bad one. Gave up a steal of 2 in 6. So all of a sudden, GBR, Great Britain, Bruce Mowat, they're up 6-5 after 6. In 7, a rock right behind the button, and Bruce Mowat with an in-turn draw. Just if he freezes, it's a steal, guaranteed. Comes up a little heavy, bounces off, gives John Schuster the deuce. Shot of the game is in the 8th end by John Schuster. They are going to give up at least 2. Well, it could have been 3, maybe 4. And they have a timeout. John's looking at a 4-ball combination, so a quadruple raise. It would have been, let's see, yellow onto yellow, red onto yellow, spin in, top button. And Matt Hamilton does not agree with the call because it's crazy. Anyway, John Schuster says, I got to play it. It's the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
He actually said that.
Wow.
Yeah, and he plays it, and he makes it perfect. 4 balls. Bing, 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 bing. Top button. Locks. Bruce Mowat was sitting 1, but basically he did have kind of an outside chance of a draw to the kind of side pin, but he didn't make it. And that was kind of your game winner. That was just incredible. 4-ball combination, but I got to play it because it's the Olympics.
Right.
That's got to be the quote of the year. And then a great deuce in 9. Actually, John had a double for 4 in 9, but 2 was lots.
Right.
And they carried it home for the win. Hammy McMillan Jr. actually hogged a guard in the last end to give them a chance, but hogged it, and then really there was no chance after that. Sweden, Italy, as expected, not close. Nicodine playing awesome, 9-3. Sweden, Denmark, China, really, really good game. China ended up winning that one 5-4. Let's move over to the ladies' games. The game we called was Canada, Japan. For the halfway point, Fujisawa was 100%. Well, how are you going to beat somebody at 100%? Sets up steals in 4 and 5 and goes on to an 8-5 win against Canada. Now, Jennifer Jones and company didn't play too bad, but Team Japan, Fujisawa shooting 100. Tsunami, Yoshida played great at third and just really overpowered Team Canada. USA, they are a big story right now. Tabitha Peterson, we all said it, how good she is, but she's ahead of everybody in the skipping position, and not close against China. 8-4 final. Swiss against the ROC. Once again, the trend, scoring big late. ROC looked good in this one until the 8th. I thought they might even win, and all of a sudden, a steal of 3 for Switzerland out of nowhere. Swiss ends up winning 8-7. So they had control, couldn't keep it. South Korea against Great Britain, same thing. Great Britain's up after 8, thinking, okay, well, yeah, Muirhead's going, no problem. Gives up a 4.
Oh, no.
South Korea gets a 4-ender in 9 to end up winning that game 9-7. So I'll tell you what, lots of exciting action. Just because a team is up late in the game, don't turn it off because It's not over for sure. But that was a scoop, Jimmy.
Way to go, Kevin. I see your very last pick. You picked Korea to win that game. And you called it right.
I did.
Yeah.
But it was looking a little doubtful there for, well, most of the game. But until all of a sudden they picked up 4, and that did the trick.
If you want to see doubtful, I was quickly keeping up my picks. I think I had 2 wins out of that. So that's doubtful. We had another draw. Men's draw number 4, Warren. Bring us up to speed.
You bet. And pretty exciting game there this morning between Canada and Switzerland. We'll start at the 5th end. After 5 ends, it wasn't looking good for Canada. They were down 3-1 on the strength of a stolen 2 by the Swiss in the 2nd end. In the 6th, Switzerland makes a mistake with their last stone, and Gushue gets a draw for 2 to tie the game at 3-3. In the 7th, the Swiss blank the ends, continuing 3-3. Schwarz draws the 4-foot for 1, looking at 3 Canadian counters in the 8th end. Score is now 4-3 Switzerland. Gushue tries a very difficult double to score 2. Shot that I'm not even sure was there. They weren't sure it was there, but they looked at the philosophy of, do we want to be tied going home without last rock, or 1 up, or do we prefer to be down 2? And that was the discussion. And I think in the end they kind of decided, well, we're probably just as far ahead to be down 2 with the hammer. Anyway, Gushue wrecked, and he got a little fortunate because he got a roll off the guard he wrecked on, and he rolled into the 4-foot and cut the Swiss down to 1 because they were counting 2. Nevertheless, the score is now 5-3 Switzerland. In the 10th end, Gushue tried everything possible to get something going. Nothing really worked. Benoit Schwarz, with his first rock of the last end, made a double takeout on Canadian counters, and the Swiss win 5-3. Now, this is an interesting game. That Gushue outplayed Schwarz on the percentage table, which again, percentages don't always tell you what's going on. Gushue shot 89%. Schwarz was 81%. Overall, the Canadian team was at 88%, while the Swiss team was at 81%. So as Gushue, I heard him say on a mic at one point in the game towards the end, he says, man, we just haven't been able to get a roll today. And that was pretty much the case. Every time they rolled, it was either not enough or too far. And that was kind of the difference on a number of occasions. So they get their first loss. The other 2 games on the ice, nothing too exciting going on. Bruce Mowat arrived, for sure, after losing to the USA earlier in the day. They're up 5-2 after 5 ends on the strength of a stolen 2 in the 4th. In the 6th, Mowat has last rock, raises takeout for 3, score 8-2 Britain. Norway draws the button for 1 in the 7th. That's enough. They concede the game 8-3 Britain. The game between ROC and Denmark, pretty much a blowout. The difference, listen to this one, ROC scored 6. That is 6 on the 5th end. The final score was 10-2, conceded after 6 ends by ROC. Just want to take a look at some of the percentages on Some of the other draws that were taking place, the men's draw, number 3, that Kevin talked about with the USA versus Great Britain, USA winning that one 9-7. Schuster shot 93%. And so, Kevin, you mentioned he made that great shot, but it sounds like he was making pretty good shots the entire game. The U.S. team had an average of 85%. Difference was Bruce Mowat was only 74%, but his team was pretty good at 83%. The Swiss-Italy game, we got to look at this one. Nick Edin, he's rolling. Easily won that game 9-3, but Nick Edin shot 100% in that game, not missing a thing. Team Sweden's average was 91%. So he's rolling, and look out for their Swedish Express. Yeah. Women's draw number 4. That was Jennifer Jones's first loss in 2 Olympics, I might add. Jones did not have a good game, neither did her team. She only shot 66%, Caitlin Laws 69%, Peterman 78%, Dawn McEwen had a good game at 96%. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ice, the Japanese team shot 88% as a team overall, and Skip shot 88%. Men's draw number 4, Great Britain wins 8-3. Bruce Mowat shot 95% in that game, so that's quite a change from his game early in the day against Schuster. And overall as a team, Great Britain was 91%. So it looks like they were a little shaky starting, but they have now got it together and are on a roll. Looking at the standings, on the women's side, we have 2 undefeated teams, Switzerland and the United States, both at 3-0. We then have 6 teams with 2-1 records: Canada, Denmark, Japan, Republic of Korea, and Sweden. So I look at things now. I would say Switzerland and the United States are going to continue to roll. They're going to be in there, but the other 2 spots are going to be between these other 5 teams, I believe, because Great Britain's at 1-2. I don't think Eve Muirhead's going to do it. ROC is at 0-2, and China's at 0-3. On the men's side, Sweden on top, 3-0, and again, as I mentioned, look out for Nick Edin. Canada, Great Britain, Switzerland, and the United States, all at 2-1. And if I was to make a guess right now, the other 3 playoff positions in the men's side is going to be between those 5 teams. I think Nick Edin is already going to be in there. And then below are the ones I don't think will make it: ROC, who has a 2-2 record, China 1-2 along with Norway, Italy 0-2, and Denmark 0-3. And that's where things are standing at the moment,
right.
Jim.
And in case you don't know, 4 teams go through, right, for the playoffs?
Correct. Yes.
Are we 10 teams, Kev, round robin here? Play 9 games, 10 teams, 9 games?
You bet. Yeah, 9-game round robin, and then top 4 out of that. No tiebreakers. So the draw of the button before the games is very, very important. When you see the log jams in the middle, that could decide your 3rd and 4th place quite easily.
All right. If you've watched curling for a while, the skips don't always throw skip stones. We've seen it where they'll throw thirds stones, and the third will throw the skip stones. However, the Swiss skips sometimes don't throw their rocks. They sometimes don't throw third rocks, and they'll go to throw second rocks. What is that all about, Kevin?
Well, it's a bit of a comfort zone, I think. De Cruz has played skip before. He's played third before, and now he's throwing second stones, and it's where you feel comfortable, I guess. Over the years, there's been all sorts of situations where maybe because of sweeping in some cases, the person may not be either a little bit older or just not a good sweeper, and they'll have them at the tee head holding the broom, and then in a lot of cases, the younger or more fit players will be sweeping. That makes obvious sense. But it's a comfort zone. The only downside that I've seen over the years with that is that the person having to throw last rock, so in the case of the Swiss, Benoit Schwarz, he doesn't have the opportunity to watch the line on all the rocks coming down, and then he has to throw last rock. So it's kind of a benefit if you are throwing last rocks to holding the broom, simply because you get to see all the rocks come down the sheet, so you know the ice better. That's the kind of the bottom line to that. But otherwise, I don't think it makes much of a difference, because it doesn't matter. You just want to set your team up to shoot the highest percentage possible, and in some cases, that would mean somebody other than the person at the tee head throwing the last 2 rocks. There's nothing wrong with it. The only problem is getting a line, getting to really understand the sheet of ice without holding the broom all the time. That's the only downside, but the upside is obviously a higher percentage curling, which matters.
Right. Warren, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. I think from my history, I think it's been very much a European thing. And as I look back in some of the early teams at the World Championship level out of Europe, you often had an older person skipping and a younger guy throwing skip rocks. And I think in many cases that was because the younger guys, because there was so little curling going on at Europe at that point in time, didn't have the experience of how the game set up or how it could be called. And at that point in time, there was quite a difference between how we played in North America and how they played in Europe. So I think to some degree that's how it started over there. There's been teams do that in Canada successfully. The two I can think of off the top of my head is in 1978, Ed Lukowicz won the Brier with Mike Chernoff, and Chernoff skipped and Lukowicz through fourth rocks, Chernoff through third. And of course the other one that we should all remember is Brad Gushue and Russ Howard winning Olympic gold in 2006 with Russ throwing second stones and skipping the game. And I think very much to a large degree there it was again a sweeping aspect because Russ being older, Brad was a kid there, that you had much more sweeping power with Brad at second and Russ holding the broom. So I think it's depending upon those type of situations as to why those decisions are made, but it has not really been a commonplace thing in Canada. It's primarily been the European teams that have used it over time.
If you've been listening to us for a while, the guests we've had on, Mark Kennedy, Ben Hebert, we had on the other day, we'll often hear that these guys in a poll, that they are the best ever at their position. And so it's really cool to have those people on. Kev, you've always spoken about reading the ice. You got to read the ice. Who was the best reader, Kev, of the ice when you were playing? You can't pick yourself, okay? Because you were pretty good.
Wow. Well, I would have to in the men's game. In the women's game, I'd have to go with Jennifer Jones. She's just fantastic at it. Mm-hmm. Wayne Madaw would certainly rank up there with me in my over the 30 years that I played. Even Wayne, when he went and played the Brier last year, still is just so good at it, and he hadn't really curled any to much degree for years. Went in and put on a show at the Brier. So just a special eye for the game and a special eye for the ice, in my opinion.
Cool. Were you any good, Warren, at reading the ice, or did you have to defer to somebody else?
I was. Average,
what did Hector
Jim.
think?
Yeah.
What did Hector think of your ice reading, Warren?
Well, there's a good guy to bring up because if I had to pick a guy of all time that I'm aware of that had the most uncanny ability to read ice and to sense things, it was Hector Gervais. And he would often go out on a chunk of ice where there hadn't been a rock thrown, and you'd kind of go like, really? And bingo, it would happen. I'm going, how the hell did he know that? And he just had a very uncanny sense. I think the other guy that was a great ice reader from my observation was Ed Wernick. He also had the same kind of sense that Hector did. They were field players, and those field players, I think, kind of had an extra perception of what was going on the surface. But probably from my experience, I'd look at those two guys as being probably the best ice readers over time.
Okay, did you guys figure out how you did? By the way, Kevin, you weren't in. Ben Hebert was in. How about? Can you remember how you did, Warren, on all your picks? Do you have a little update? You were going pretty good there.
Well, I haven't got the ones at hand from the day before, but I do know I had one draw where I was 4 for 4, so I'll remember that. And I think overall, can you remember, Kevin, what we were? I think you were 1 up on me.
Yep.
Yeah, I was 11 out of 12. You were 10 out of 12 that day.
That day,
but
okay.
that was
so now we're on
you're only as good as your last outing.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Anyway, what about today, you guys? What are your picks going to be for today? Kev, why don't you go first, and then we'll get Warren's.
Okay, so we're talking about what happened yesterday, okay, Kevin?
Yeah, yesterday's picks, that's what I was talking about, Jimmy. You're only as good as your last outing. I was really good 2 days ago. Yesterday, not so good. I picked a pile wrong. I ended up being 7 wins and 4 losses. So I got beat up a little bit this time. I picked ROC to beat Switzerland. Nope. Great Britain to beat USA. Nope. Sweden to beat Italy. And China to beat Denmark. Okay, so I'm 2-2 after the men's draw.
Yep.
USA, China. I picked it right. USA to win. Canada, Japan. I picked Canada. Whoops. Switzerland, ROC, and South Korea, Great Britain. I picked both of those. So 5-3. And then I picked ROC to beat Denmark, Great Britain to beat Norway. I picked Canada to beat Switzerland. Switzerland won. So 7 good ones and 4 bad. So not a great day for me, Jimmy.
No, you're slipping. How about you, Hanson?
Well, I had a few problems as well in that first draw. I had Switzerland over ROC. I had Great Britain over USA, which was no. I had Switzerland over Italy and Denmark over China. So that was okay. I was 3 out of 1, or 3 for 1. In the next draw with the women, I was USA over China. Yep. Canada over Japan. No. Switzerland over ROC. Yes. And Britain over Korea. No. So I was 2 and 2 in that one. And on the last draw of the day, 3 games on the ice. ROC over Denmark. Yes. Britain over Norway. Yes. And I had Canada over Switzerland. No. 2-1. So for the day, I was 7-11.
7-11. Okay.
7 out of 11. 7 out of 11.
7 and 4, same as Kevin. Huh?
Same. Tough day at the office.
Yep.
You guys are letting us down. Okay, you're letting us down. You're supposed to be better.
Hey, we're still over 50%, Jim.
Yeah, you are. Listen to these guys each and every day, and you can whip over to Coolbet, lay down some shekels. I think I'm down. I'm down cash. So, no diapers for the kids. I need more money. Okay. We keep getting emails every day, and we're reading them as we do on our regular show weekly. But we've also been doing it each and every day during the games, and today's no exception. We've got one. A lot of people are still talking about mixed doubles. There's tons of conversation about it on both sides. Ben Hebert, you can go back and listen to the show yesterday about Ben's take on the mixed doubles and the team that they sent. So whether we like it or not, we keep getting a bunch of emails about the mixed doubles. And here's one from Tony. I think it's Malachuk. I think I'm pronouncing that right, or Miklachik. Let's just go with Tony, Jim. Okay, let's just go with Tony. Right?
Tony M.
Hello, you guys. Thanks for the podcast. I've just started to listen to them, and I enjoy them very much, and your summaries of the Olympics. Got a question for you. I was looking forward to your take on the Canadian team mixed doubles outcome. I think you didn't do the issue justice and was expecting more dialogue on the Canadian team's collapse. Well, we're going to do it for you right now, Tony. Specifically, rather than just talking about the result, I was looking forward to some insight. I thought communication between John Morris and Rachel Homan was poor. The relationship seemed to have an edge to it. They did not seem to like teammates as much as two capable individuals thrown together. It seemed like if they could just throw and sweep their own rocks, they'd be happier. When they threw, well, there wasn't positive energy that resulted that I could see. And when they were poor shots, they failed as individuals, it seems. They often disagreed on weight and line as the rock proceeded down the ice, which can be okay, but it doesn't seem like they developed any mechanism to work through this disagreement. He goes on to say, does the lack of prep for the team explain it all? Your conversation with Ben Hebert seemed to indicate that they were prepared. How do you explain this result? Kev, do you agree, disagree with what he's talking about? Or can you put your finger on why they lost?
I don't know if there's an agreement or disagreement with it. One thing that I think people need to know with that team is John Morris and Rachel Homan. They know each other since they were little kids. They've grown up together. They know each other. So when it comes to chemistry on the ice, the edge, well, you've got John Morris, who's as bullheaded as anybody. I played with him for years. I know that.
Right.
And then Rachel Homan, and she's as bullheaded as anybody. So you've got two people that are awesome curlers, but their personalities they're as strong a humans as you're going to meet. So I don't think on the ice either of them are ever going to be like warm and cuddly. Mm-hmm. That's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not their personalities. Just, their personality is make the shot.
Right.
Period. So to me they were very close to getting into the finals. Italy was fantastic and just beat them by an eighth of an inch or something. Right. In the last one, if we ask John, now I have not talked to John since this is done. I will talk to him once he gets back. But the big game that they're going to look back upon was the Australia loss. That's what, you just can't afford to lose to teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. And that was the game that hurt them. Losing to Italy, who went undefeated, that's not a problem. Mm-hmm. Nobody could beat them. But that's okay. But losing to a team that's not going to have a chance at the playoffs, that was the game that really cost them. As far as I don't know, to me, they played really good. One thing that I noticed, though, and I want to mention it, because John Morris is as fit a human as you're going to find. Mm-hmm. He is ultra fit. But with his age in mixed doubles, this is a fun thing. This is why I think this game is going to take off across the world, because it's a young person sport. When John Morris was playing against Majaner in that Italy-Canada game, Majaner's sweeping every rock just as hard as John. John's sweating like crazy and can't get his breath. He's older guy, but fit. John is really fit. Majaner, though, he's just way, way younger, 26 years old, and not even having a problem getting his breath. It's no big deal. Just sweep like crazy, throw another one.
Right.
Doesn't matter at that age. And so that's what I really appreciate about mixed doubles. It's an active young person game, fun for kids and young people, and that's what I really, really enjoy about it. But I have a hard time being too hard on John and Rachel. They came within a sliver of getting into the playoffs, and losing to Italy is no big deal. But the haunting one would be that loss to Australia, if I were in their shoes.
Right. As you get older, Kevin, and Warren, I want to get your answer on this too. What's the first thing to go, Kev? Is it the nerves? Is it the eyesight? Is it physical? Execution? Everyone's got to face it. One day to look up and go, I'm not doing this as well as I used to. What do you think goes first as a high performance curler?
Well, they all go kind of at the same time, unfortunately. A little bit. And eyesight, as I'm getting older, I was always blessed with like eagle eyes. Like I could see, I had awesome eyes. And I notice now I've got still pretty darn good eyes. No need for glasses yet or anything, but I just can't see as crisp as I once could. So even playing pool, I just don't see the edge of the ball as clear and so on. And it's funny, when it comes to top level sport of any kind, curling included, but it could be any sport, when your eyes aren't quite as crisp as they once were, that's sort of a God-given thing for a lot of athletes, is really good eyesight. Strength, obviously, and endurance, because there's nothing you can do about that. That's just part of it.
Right.
But somebody like John Morris, now, he's as fit as you get. So he's kept that the old man bug away as long as he could, because of his fitness regimen is incredible. But there's nothing you can do about that. Father Time is what it is, and but I could just see the difference in that game against Italy. Both guys just sweeping their hearts out, but one guy noticeably it's just easier on him, and that was Majaner.
Right. Warren, what was the day like when you looked up and said, okay, I got to retire from curling? What made you do that as a player?
I've always had a very simple philosophy about that, and it's this. When you lose a game and a half hour later it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter. And I think from my point of view, it was the mental aspect of I had to have the killer instinct, the desire to wanting to win beyond all else. And I lost that pretty young. And I lost it probably because I was in the curling business and I was involved with it 24 hours a day practically. Right. And it became too much. And I think as a result of it, I couldn't put my head into the game any longer. So I think it's going to vary with people. And some it's going to be the mental aspect, and some it's going to be physical. And you see a lot of things happening now, particularly with some of these guys with the legs, the knees, the hips, because of the huge repetition. Mm-hmm. During my time, I was one of the few people that had that kind of repetition in throwing rocks. But today, guys like Kevin are throwing thousands and thousands of stones. The body gives out.
Very good. Interesting answers for sure. Let's take a break. When we come back, we've got to get you guys need to improve. Okay? Those very dicey records that you have going into today's picks. We're going to get your Coolbet picks. Stick around, everyone. Hey, on wrapping up what happened, again, we do it each and every day. The show comes out around 1 o'clock, and we'll do it for the rest of the games. Now we got men's draw number 3. We've got to get your picks, you guys, on what comes up ahead. Kev, why don't you go first?
All right, so the next draw, the women's draw, Sweden versus Canada. That is an impossible one to pick, but I will pick Sweden because Jennifer Jones and company just didn't play very well against Japan. Korea ROC, South Korea looks like they're getting into their stride. I'll pick them. And Japan Denmark. Japan, Fujisawa 100% almost in her games, so I'll pick them. The men coming back on the ice. Italy, China. I think that'll be Italy's first win. Canada, Sweden. Wow. Yikes. Yeah. Oh, boy. Canada, Sweden. Canada will hand Nicodine their first loss. Switzerland over Denmark. USA over Norway. In the women's last draw, Japan over ROC. Switzerland over Denmark. Great Britain, USA. Tabitha is just on fire. I got to pick USA. Sweden, China, Sweden. Those are my picks, Jimmy.
Good deal. Good idea. Canada has the day off. Maybe they need it after Jennifer Jones lost. Okay, Warren, you're up, my friend.
Well, on the women's draw number 4, again, tough game between Sweden and Canada. Jennifer Jones had a tough game, but Sweden hasn't been exactly lighting it up either. So I think Jennifer Jones and squad are going to get it together. They're going to take that game. I think Korea will be easy over ROC, as will Japan over Denmark. Italy, China. China, watching there this morning, they are playing not that bad. They're playing pretty well. I think they will continue. They will win that game. Canada, Sweden, yes, Brad Gushue is going to be in tough, but I think he's going to dig down because this is a game I think he really has to win, particularly as we look towards the future in the playoffs. This could be who he's seeing, so it wouldn't be a good game for him to lose. So I think they will dig down. Denmark, Switzerland, I think little question after watching this morning that the Swiss will take that one, and USA will be successful over Norway, I do believe. Although Norway in that game this morning, they played fairly well. You can't give them any opening. So if John Schuster, as Benny calls him, Schusty Cakes, comes through like he did last night.
What a bad nickname, man. I'm change that one, Schusty Cakes.
I don't know where that came
brutal.
from, but anyway.
Yeah.
Women's draw number 5, ROC Japan. Yes, Japan, the way they played this morning, they're rolling. The Swiss women over Denmark, yes as well. USA over Great Britain, yes. Eve Muirhead is struggling. And for sure, Hasselberg over China. So that's the way I see it.
Thank you, Hansy Cakes. I'm going to call you Hansy Cakes.
That's a funny
Hansy
nickname.
Cakes and Martin
Shoes
Cakes. Yeah, okay.
I'd like to know where it came from, actually.
There's one for story time, which we do on our weekly podcast. That's a wrap. Great job, boys. Again, tune in tomorrow and every other day during the games at Beijing at about 1 o'clock. Coolbet, a proud sponsor of curling and, frankly, all things ice-related. The logo is a polar bear, after all. If you love sports, make sure you join the thousands of people already enjoying life inside the Coolbet community. If you're feeling so inclined, head over to their website, lay down some cash, okay? There's really good odds. I was watching it yesterday, so you would have won lots of money if you didn't bet Canada in the men's draw, so check them out. Also, send us an email. We read them each and every day, and we get a lot of them. Check us out on Facebook and our Facebook group. Rod Paulson handles all that. Thanks a lot to Rod. You can email us insidecurling@gmail.com. And who better to have your questions answered by World Curling Hall of Famer Kevin, in as a curler, of course, and Warren, you're in as a builder. I need to remind everyone. And I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, well, that's going to
Hard
change
believe,
soon.
yeah. You guys are going to take me over the top. Take me over the top. I certainly wouldn't get in for talking, that's for sure. We're on Twitter at Curling Inside. Boys, go get some rest, and we'll be back again tomorrow with another special edition of Inside Curling. This has been Daily Draw. Talk to you later, Warren. See you, Kev.